This is a really different episode, and it's more of a conversation. We participated, Stephen and I, in Screenprinting Mag's mentorship program this year. They have this really cool program where you get paired up with a shop that's trying to improve something. And honestly, this shop that we talked to, they are doing really well. They have 7 figures of revenue. They're super profitable. They're a great running shop, but the owners are really trying to step out of the business and not be so ingrained in the day to day. So we're chatting with Billy. It's the son of the owner who started it. He's taken over and really trying to take it to the next level. But this one was specifically about getting out from running production day to day, which he does that plus sales. So he hired a production manager, and we're going to go through the goals and training program to be able to get that production manager to be optimized. And creating that plan. The plan is actually in the YouTube description or in the description below that you'll be able to pull this from. And we create goals to now you have to go in, create the actual training routines of what to do in your shop. So hopefully this is very actionable for you guys. Hopefully if you haven't hired or want to hire a production manager or have hired, maybe you go back and use this. We're excited. It's just called workshops. All right, let's jump in. Hey, Printers, welcome back. This is Bruce from Printavo. We've got Stephen from Campus Inc. We've got a very exciting shop to be able to jump on today. But real quick, we've got incredible sponsors. You guys know the names. Again, if you pick this name first that I'm going to pick out of the hat, then I'm going to send you something nice. Just shoot me an email, Bruce@Printavo. Okay, here we go. Number 1, Multicraft. All right. Multicraft_deity, pull them up on your Instagram and send Dave a DM right now. Every single week, he is sending a shop a case of PMI tape. Thank you, Dave, for being so generous and doing that. You guys know if you needed ink, supplies, or a daddy, Multicraft screen printing and digital supplies for over 50 years have been providing you the top brands at competitive pricing. Make sure to mention Printavo Pod, get 10% off your first order too. Again, don't forget to send them a DM. Supacolor. Supacolor is the world's best heat transfer. It's made for screen printers, by screen printers. Spent some time over at their facility a couple weeks back. It is so cool to see what they're building and just like the unbelievable technology that they have in that facility to get orders out there quickly. But look, they understand the pressures and expectations of running a screen printing business, and that's why they pride themselves on being super fast and super easy. They've been there, especially in a pinch. Any issues, their support team is incredible. That's like when you experience Supacolor's support team, that's when you're like, wow, okay, this is a partner that I'm going to be working with for a while. Printavo 15, Printavo 15 gets you 15% off your order. Make sure to check them out. Easy Way. You know you shouldn't be spending all day cleaning dirty screens. Easy Way's line of environmentally conscious chemicals will get the job done faster, more efficiently, and cost you a fraction of the cost per screen. 701 and 842 are Campus Inc.'s favorite Easy Way chemicals to clean dirty screens. Clean it up. If you value a company to help with your how-tos, your best practices, and just general questions, Easy Way is the easiest way to go. Last but not least, you know them, the boys over at GraphX Source. They are there to be able to help you with efficiency in your art department and reduce costs there. Steven's got, he said 3 artists now that he's working with, and they handle a lot of production art. So SEPs, mock-ups, creative work, order management, digitizing, all of that good stuff. GraphX Source is there to be able to help you as a partner to run your business. They're plug and play into your Printavo or any other shop management solution you may have to be able to help you run efficiently. Mention Printavo Pod, get 50% off your Vector SEP or embroidery order. All right, let's jump on in.
Hey,
what's
guys.
Up, Billy?
Sorry.
How you doing?
Good.
No, you're all good.
Billy, were you answering a question there in production?
Yeah, it was.
I heard that. I was like, funny.
Something about some heat transfers that didn't get shipped and trying to figure it out.
Wait, the first question is, what'd you do last Wednesday at noon?
I didn't leave. I didn't leave at noon, I should say. I believe I left at like 3:00. But there was an issue that I didn't feel comfortable putting on our new production manager. So I stuck around to kind of handle it and walk him through kind of what I do in this situation and that kind of thing.
3:00's good. Just as a heads up, we're also Billy. This one's being recorded now too. But the challenge was last week to just leave the business at noon, but 3:00's good. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, it was okay.
Wait, so how's the last couple of weeks been? So you hired the production manager. Tell us, like, by the way, I started writing down a ton of notes from our past that we've collected from shops of hiring production manager. I'm sure Steven's thought about this too, so we'll get to that. Great. But yeah, what's been going on? It's
been good. I mean, it's been a lot because I think I mentioned this last time. He doesn't have any industry experience, the guy we hired for our operations position. So it's been trying to figure out, well, where do we start him? How exactly do you train someone to learn a little bit of everything when they don't know anything? So it's been really time consuming. I spend majority of my day training him and running him through the different issues we run into. And then kind of at the end of the day, I start to do my work on the sales side and that kind of thing. So it's been good. We've been making good progress, but a lot of time training someone in this position just based off of kind of how I think it should be done. I'm kind of just freewheeling it as I go.
Is he the one? Do you love him?
I don't know that I'm there yet. I'm trying not to jump to any conclusions. This is our 3rd week. So I'm trying not to be like, this isn't going to work out. I'm trying to give him time. But I don't think I'm necessarily there yet.
I'm just curious, before Farag, you probably just have lots to riff on. Like, what do you feel like in 3 months you'd want a good production manager to have taken off your plate?
I mean, I kind of have that as one of my questions here, like measuring their success, basically. And I've kind of looked at it as, at what point do I want myself to not be bothered? And any questions in production or that kind of thing, they're able to go to him and he's able to answer it and figure it out. Is that 3 months? Is that 4 months, 5 months? I'm not exactly sure. I would hope in 3 months he's able to handle the production schedule and setting that up, because that's really what we've been focusing a lot on, setting that up and the changes that come with it and that kind of thing. So I think being able to set that production schedule and adjust for any changes would be a reasonable 3-month goal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a book that I really like called High Output Management, and my mentor helps me out with this. And I think this is what you're alluding to, Bruce, is when you bring on a new employee, you think of the outcomes first, and then you build their training based on those outcomes. Right, Bruce? Is that what you're kind of saying? No? Maybe?
Yeah. I never thought about it that way, but it made so much more sense when I did. Of first 30 days, first 60 days, first 90 days. What do I want to sit at that down with them at that period, just grabbing lunch and just being like, awesome. We talked about when you first started that in 60 days in, you're going to be able to know how to run regular maintenance and cleaning and that kind of stuff. And that helped me to back into how do I need to frame the training. Now, obviously I've never hired a production manager, but this was for like other manager type roles.
So like, let's think about, okay, if let's actually like do this exercise right now. If they are a full blown production manager, are we all safe to assume after 90 days, they should be fully trained? Is that pretty good? And then like, is that after 90 days, they should be in a pretty good spot, right?
I mean, you would hope so. And I think if you get to 90 days and you have some doubts, then that kind of answers your question maybe. Maybe then you need to possibly move on.
So let's think of the outcomes for that production manager, specifically to your business. After 90 days, so an outcome, and I actually just shared this Google Doc with y'all, so you can fill it out if you want, but they should take full ownership of production scheduling, like that would be an outcome, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And coordinate any changes or adjustments in the schedule, like to be able to be reactive, because we all know it's a game of Tetris the day of, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So like, I think that is an outcome right there of like manage, create, and be able to troubleshoot the schedule within the next 90 days. Like they have to be able to do that, right? I honestly think that's probably one of like the most important ones. How would you feel if in 90 days that person like did a pretty good job at that? What would that do for you?
I think that would signal that we have the right person. And that would be the biggest thing, is that we made the correct choice. He's pretty comfortable doing this after 3 months. And then that's kind of a springboard to some of the other things that we want him to do. The production schedule is really the biggest thing. So I think if he's able to tackle that, it's a sign we made the right choice. He's capable of doing it, and he's able to take on other things as well, take other things off our plate that we're dealing with.
And you don't run a small operation, right? Like you're almost peaking $4 million. Like this is no small task, right? Does he have today, if you were to go rogue, does he have a procedure to follow to actually make the schedule? Or is it still like tribal knowledge? Is it still in your head?
That's been the biggest issue, is me and my dad are trying to take what's in our head and put it on paper. And you kind of said it earlier, everything is so situational. We do a lot of deliveries for our customers as well. So that's another thing that we're trying to line things up, deliveries going in the same direction to get done on the same day, to make sure we're being efficient on that side. So unfortunately, there's not, it's not, if this happens, do this. Everything is so different depending on the situation, the customer, all of that. So we're trying to figure out a way to put together, not necessarily a process, but a better way of conveying that
playbook. Yeah, a playbook.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. That's a good way.
I think, Bruce, I'll let you hack it. When you I think when you bring in a new employee in a small business, it's usually on the owners that they don't have good procedures, that they can't dump the tribal knowledge out. And that's usually why they fail, is because like a lot of times it's a management issue, is we could not get him in a place to be successful. And because of it, he couldn't be successful. Right. But like, it also forces you to figure out where there are failed processes like delivery. So like, I think of that delivery thing, and it's like, oh, maybe every job has a cover sheet to help with delivery routing or whatever. And you're like, oh shit. Okay. Right. How have you started to figure out how to write out how to create a production schedule? Have you guys like started a doc or anything, or like where are you at in that process?
Not necessarily. We've tried to set up more of a standard way of the way the salespeople are writing the order. And salespeople, I mean me and my dad, but the way we're putting in our due dates. So we kind of have a standard of, we'll put 2 weeks out, 2 weeks from when the order's created. That is a standard, and then from there in Power Scheduler on Printavo, we have a section that says production time, and you change it to either standard production or we have hard due date. So hard due date means it has to get done this day. Standard production is if something happens and we have to push this back a day or two, that's not a big deal. So that's usually the biggest thing, is there's a change in the schedule. Is it hard or not? Yeah. What has to be done? What doesn't have to be done? So that's one way
Here's a quick hack, and then I'll let Bruce riff. In our production notes, our customer invoice date is when we would like it to arrive to the customer. And then in our production notes, we put a like hard in hand date, or we'll also put the event date. Like, when is their event? Because I always like to know, like, ooh, it's a family reunion. They want the shirts on Wednesday. If I needed to push it, I could do it on Thursday. So like, when we've told the customer they're going to get it, when their event is, and then how many days in transit it takes. And then based on those kind of pieces of information, our production coordinator can go and look and say, okay, I can shuffle that. I can move that. Nope, that's got to go today. Like that's the number one word. Nope, that's got to go today. Right. And so by putting the event date on your production notes, it gives him a peace of mind to know I've got a fail safe. Obviously, I don't want to use it, but there's something there. Bruce, what were you going to say?
All right, real quick, I got to tell you something. This is really interesting, and here's why. We formed a company called Printavo. You may have heard of it, but it has 3 different brands right now: Printavo, Inksoft, and Graphics. So we're all sister companies now, a big happy family. What we're able to do is Printavo's managing your shop management and workflow organization. Inksoft can run your website and handle online stores at scale. So running multiple different stores for fundraisers, schools, company stores, and everything in between. And Graphics Flow is a brand new product to be able to help reduce all the back and forth with art. So it has a huge art library that you can put on your website so customers can see and pluck what they want. Plus, you can also be able to collect different ideas and send them to customers to approve as well. Really, really cool. Plus, in-app editing. It's like Canva, but specifically for shops. All right, check it out. All those brands are on Printavo.com. That's Printavo.com. All right, thanks. You know what you just made me realize? Before this is too late for this right now, but I'm just realizing before we hire for key roles, we should have the process for their training built out first. Like before we even interview people, because I'm just realizing, like, how do you know what are the exact skills that you want of this person if you've never actually trained someone? And then how does the first couple of months look like, and so on? This is for future stuff, but it does make me realize, oh, okay, these are the skills actually that I need to be able to test for. And then here we go. We're ready to go for them to jump in. So one thing that I tried to do with our senior roles is I would build out the training to a point where, first of all, I had to get out of the out of the office to do the training and writing it because I was so distracted around other people and stuff. So literally went to a different place, closed the door, and then I was actually with Adam Cook a long time ago, Steven. We literally wrote out all of this documentation. Must have been in there for 5-6 hours, just writing screenshots, recording Loom videos, because I was thinking, if I wasn't here, I want this person to be able to train themselves and watch these videos and get started. And now, I'm going to be there. Obviously, you're going to be there. But it pushed so much content forward that when they had questions, I could go back to that doc. And it created that really good flow. Because, hopefully this works out. But maybe you hire someone else. Maybe they want to do something else career-wise in 3 years or whatever it is. Then boom, you've got all the same reusable stuff too, and it saved me so much time in the future.
Billy, you talked about like how everything's a situation and there's always a thing on that, right? Like, and it's not helpful that the owners are putting in the orders because then you're cutting some corners and stuff like that, right? So you probably need to put in cleaner orders. Why can't you write out situations?
It's a good point. I mean, I think, I guess the answer to that would be it's situations, it's customers, and unfortunately we have a lot of unique customers that we will do different things for, and it's a wide variation. And I think that like the delivery schedule kind of messes with things a lot as well. A lot of it is dependent on that. We have one customer we go to once a week and pick stuff up, drop stuff off, whatever's going on. So a lot of it revolves around that. Yeah, I mean, we could probably write out some of the situations. There's probably.
Yeah. And I think the thing about it is, it's almost like this, how to manage production is a living and breathing doc. And it's kind of a scavenger hunt, if you will. And granted, since it's not created, you're not going to go backwards and unhire him, right? But maybe in that doc, you have situations. And anytime there's a situation, be like, oh, write that one down. Oh, write that one down.
Yes. It's an obsession of doing that.
And be like, oh, that's a situation. Write that one down. You got to know that has to go. And then it's like, remember you wrote all those down and you study them. And I think about this like a football playbook, right? Like you think of Jim Walsh, who's the coach of the 49ers. He talked about like situational playmaking as like they would practice when things went wrong, not when things went right. Right. But what if instead of putting him on the production floor, you had him do deliveries for a whole week? Would he learn the caveats of delivery?
I mean, he's doing the delivery schedule right now. He's working on doing that and figuring that out.
But what if he was actually the one delivering?
Oh, doing the actual deliveries.
Yeah. Like what if for 4 days he had to ride along with the delivery driver to learn about deliveries? Would that help him?
I don't know if that would help him. The deliveries are fair. It's more so the schedule that we're putting together for the deliveries is what the issue is, and trying to put together like an efficient route, because we kind of it's not like we're driving in one direction to deliver. We're kind of going in every which way for a lot of the customers.
Is there an app that optimizes delivery? I'm just kidding.
Nope.
Yeah, there is. I looked at this.
I mean, there
There's
is
delivery route optimizers, but it's actually a very complex computer science problem. Is optimizing route delivery.
I mean,
Google Maps.
My dad's lived in the area for 65 years, and I've been here for.
You go right on Ashland. If you try to go left,
yeah, we
dead.
just kind of say, hey, all three of these, they're in the same direction. Go drop those three off, and then come back, and then we'll sing in the other direction for these three. So
that is fair. I'm glad you bring that up, though. That is interesting to run it through one of those route optimizers to see what it says separately. But
yeah.
Wait, what are the other 90-day goals that you had, Steven? I wrote team management, but what do you think?
I'm curious to hear what Billy thinks. So we talk about this production, like scheduling is an outcome to be a scheduling ninja.
Sure.
Right. I think the other outcome was a delivery ninja. Because those are two different things, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So to be able to make the delivery schedule, optimize it, and know certain situations, like that's a skill to learn tribal knowledge. What would be other outcomes as a production manager that are really important to you that would make your life easier so that you don't have to do that or be there every day?
I mean, I was going to say just more of like, he's handling the embroidery schedule as well. So that's again, another thing, orders that have embroidery and screen printing. Those are ones he's trying to coordinate as well. So
what I'm hearing is to be able to schedule production, you have to be able to schedule all of the presses, know orders that have a combination, and take into account deliveries and optimize for delivery, right?
Yeah.
Those are 4 bullet points,
yeah.
But those are 4 outcomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would other things, let's get out of the scheduling for a second. Sure. What would other things you want him or you wish for him to do that would just make your life so much easier if only he did this?
Sure. I mean, I think just dealing like the everyday problems that come up, maybe not with scheduling, but the issues with the shipping, like we're short a shirt. How do we handle that? Something didn't get shipped. How do we handle that? Being able to deal with the vendors as well. So having an understanding of sort of, the back end of production, but also the front end of communicating with the customer when there's an issue with their order.
So like order resolution or customer complaints.
Yeah. I mean, customer service to a degree, a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of, if there's an issue, I'm the one who's calling the customer saying, hey, they don't have this color. Can we switch to this color, this brand or whatever? I'm the one who's doing all that communication right now.
I think about it as like, he's supposed to be air traffic control for you to solve small problems, right? Mm-hmm. Like problem resolution And I almost think about it as like he's the first line of defense, because if it's like one shirt, yeah, reprint it, whatever. But like, oh shit, it's a $500 mistake. That's got to come to my desk.
Yeah.
Right. Something that I did is, and Bruce helped me with this, is to create like a resolution tree. Like anything that you can resolve that costs under $25, boom, you can do it. Anything, you know, that is over whatever this amount has got to get approval from this. Anything that is over $300 comes to my attention and needs my approval. And like that way, you just know like it's going to be handled. You almost don't think about it anymore, right? Have you ever written anything out like that, like as a resolution tree?
No, not necessarily, because I've always been the one that has been resolving them. I have kind of set, sort of like you were saying, what dollar amounts, you know, what level of mistake we can just go ahead, you know, just order the new shirts, we'll deal with it. And okay, we need to figure out another mistake because we can't. I mean, we just had one this week. We're gonna have to order $2,000 worth of shirts to fix it. And I said, well, we're not going to do that. We're going to look and try to find some other alternatives. So I have sort of I kind of tell really anything under $100, let's go ahead, let's just fix it, and then we can talk about what went wrong. But that's sort of the threshold I've set for him at this time.
Do you want to know about it under 100?
I'd like to know about it to know what went wrong, because I think he's still trying to figure out exactly our process and that kind of thing. So was it a problem in production? Was it in the art department? You know, where did we go wrong? Where was the issue?
What's a deliverable that he could do for you once a week for you to learn about all those mistakes? Like, is there a routine or activity or a habit that he could do so that you guys are going through it? Like, have you thought about that?
I ask him to track the mistakes. So if there's a mistake, I ask him to put it in Printavo. We actually put it in like the expenses section and just a mistake and an approximate dollar cost and a bit of a description. So I do have him do that, and I'm kind of checking that at the end of each week to see where we stand. And then, you know, at the end of each week, we're kind of having a review of that week right now, just the overall week, and we'll go over that as well. So that's something that he's doing every time.
I'll share with you, I have a jot form we use. It's called Campus Ink Error Log. And it's basically like any employee can fill it out, but usually like production manager or the salesperson, like I work on this team. Here's the invoice. How many units were affected? What's the desired outcome? And then that just comes into a Slack channel. And that's like how we see it. And then if something comes out crazy, I'm like, okay, well, we need to look at that there. But if you put that in place for him or some sort of tracker, like you shouldn't have to look at it, right? Because you need to be looking at less things, but you can always like review it.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's what you just said. You shouldn't have to look at it. You want to look at less things. I think that's what I've been struggling with the most, is trying to let things go. And when people come to me with issues, I'm trying to send them to him, because that's really the only way that he's going to learn. But I keep catching myself. I go to start answering questions. I just get, no, never mind. Go talk to him.
So, all right, Bruce, I know you got something. I'm going to challenge you on something. Okay. Something you just talked about there was leader delegation, right? An employee is used to coming to you. Mm-hmm. You're the owner, so you're going to solve it. But when you solve it, your new leader doesn't learn. Exactly. And that person doesn't care they just go around him, right?
Yep.
And so you said something there of like, I try to stop myself and go back to him. I try to stop myself. If you were not in the shop, what option would they have?
Yeah. I mean, they would have to go to him. So.
And then if it was a really big fire that he couldn't answer, what would happen?
Hopefully call me if it was really that big.
Call you.
Issue. Yeah.
Right. So like what you just talked about there, removing yourself from a situation to let a leader learn and fail is like the hardest thing an owner can do, because you're like, if I leave, everything's going to be a dumpster fire. No, he'll call you if the place is burning down, promise. And if he doesn't, probably shouldn't work there, right? But I think like a lot of that problem, what I'm hearing is like you have to let him make mistakes or let him solve his own problems, or maybe a delivery route goes to shit. He needs to scrap and figure it out. And when he does and he tells you, you're like, good, you learn how to scrap.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Bruce, what are you going to say?
Billy, what do you think? Because that's an interesting outcome. Like, how do you get better at letting the dumpster fire burn a little bit and putting it out on his own? Like, do you think 90 days for you to be better at? Is it 6 months? I just want to record it here.
Well, I don't know if I mentioned this on our first call. Me and my dad are going to be gone for a week in 2 weeks. So he's going to be, we were hoping to hire somebody a little earlier because we had this.
I'm going to put 60 days.
So we were hoping in March we'd hired somebody. We have some time to train him and then this trial period. But he's going to be a little bit thrown into the fire. And we have employees that have been here a while, so he'll be okay. But yeah, that's that'll be a good trial period.
How do the employees? He's not a screen printer, no. And our production manager, not a screen printer. Do they respect his authority?
It's been a challenge, and kind of exactly what you said. I had an employee say to me the other day, kind of asking how he's going to help and just wondering what sort of impact he's going to have. He's not from this industry. And I kind of said, like, I was the same way when I started working here. I didn't really know much. So that's definitely been a challenge to get them to understand. Yeah, he doesn't know how to run the machine, but he knows how to manage people, and he's talented at that, and he can manage the schedule. And getting them to understand exactly what you said, the best printer is not going to be the best production manager. So I think it's probably half and half with people who trust him.
Does he have a cool personality? Do people like him?
Yeah, I like him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like him.
That's awesome. Can I record that as an outcome then that like meshes well with the team?
Yeah, I think that's paramount.
Does he handle like employee scheduling? Like, I'm going to take a sick day, or I need tomorrow off, or I've got employees. Does he handle that yet?
We're trying to have him handle it. Like, we had somebody come today actually and request time off, and I said, give it to him. We have a board we put it up on that everyone can see, but I said, give it to him and he can handle it.
Does he have tools to be a thoughtful leader, right? Like, can he take people out to lunch? Can he, like do boss things that help him get and earn that trust and respect that, like, oh, he is looking out for me. He is a good guy. Like, I know he can't print, but damn.
Sure.
Like, what have you done there?
I don't necessarily know about that. I've tried to have him spend a good chunk of time with each department and really try to learn, the basics of what each department is doing, as well as trying to get to know each person in that department. So that's what we've tried to do in terms of getting him familiar with the staff and sort of building up a bit of rapport so that there's some respect, there's some trust, that kind of thing.
Bruce, when you insert a leader over operators, what have you done to empower that leader to like let them get the love from the team? Like, do you have any examples of that?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing, there's things that are before hiring, and then I'll talk about the things after. Before, first, I sort of announced to the team, this is what we're hiring for to help lead this team. The reason is because we need experience to help take this off my plate. I need someone that's better than me at doing this, and someone that just has years of doing it to be able to help us grow to the next level. And that I think is important because people will naturally get defensive when they have a new boss or someone coming in to tell them what to do. The things after though is hopefully it's someone that does want to take the time to get to know the people. Like, part of it is sure the process and doing the things there, but it is a people management aspect, Billy. And it sounds like this person is that. And I've always said yes to like, oh, you want to take people bowling? You want to bring in breakfast? You want to, first I'll do it so they don't feel awkward. And then it's like, yeah, just either expense it or however, you could do it to pay for it. And then let them do that and keep that regular routine. Because part of it is like getting buy-in. It's like you're a politician and you're like lobbying.
You need them to like campaign a little bit for themselves. You need to,
right.
they're up against,
win them over.
Yeah.
They are up against a lot of pressure. They're new, right? They're an outsider. They don't know the industry, and they're supposed to come in and manage people. That's hard. And so, like, Billy, something I would recommend you do is give him $100 a week to do whatever he wants with for the staff.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Like, so $400 of spoiling your team members, in whatever way he wants, but make sure he spends it.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So like I brought in donuts today, don't make it like donuts every day, but like, hey, we're doing a cookout on Friday. I got these iTunes gift cards, and like, get him to think like a leader. And then also, when you give him the power of the purse, people will recognize that you have trusted him to do boss-like things, right? And it might be $50 a week, whatever that might be. But like that little gesture, like, you don't want the credit. You don't need an employee to say thank you, Billy. You're like, no, I just don't want to have to deal with this. Like, whatever, right? But like, until you have because do you have a formal HR department that like plan? No. Right. Most of us don't. Okay. So like, I'm hearing there's the production scheduling part, but then there's the people management, almost like the HR side of it. Right. What else do you want him to do that would take a lot off your plate?
I guess this maybe goes into the HR, being able to train new employees at some of the more basic tasks, like you hire somebody new at the end of the dryer. That's a simple task that somebody needs to be shown how to do, but that he can do. Because in the past, that's where we've fallen short with a lot of our new hires, is a lack of training. So some of those.
Is he interviewing folks too?
Is he interviewing?
Yeah, we haven't had anybody coming for an interview since we hired him, but yeah. We'd like him.
That's like a really good thing to do. Let me ask you this. Before he can train someone, does he know is he capable of writing procedures?
That's one thing and I actually mentioned it to him we had a meeting at the Monday morning as kind of a review. That's one thing that I said I'd like to see him do, because one thing he hasn't done is take a lot of notes on things we've been telling him, which I kind of mentioned I'd like to see that. We're throwing a lot at him, so there's got to be a way for you to remember it. But he has experience doing it, and I kind of I said, let's start with, I gave him 2 positions I'd like him to write a procedure for by the end of this week. So, and it's...
And you are putting on training wheels to make him a good, like, leader, right? I think that's one thing, when you interview any type of leadership, have them write procedure. Like, we always forget to test for it. And I've been in your shoes before, Billy. And so you could hopefully nip it in the butt a little bit and give him something super easy. Like, hey, write me a procedure for how to stack shirts. Like, what? Like, yeah, how do you stack shirts? Like, watch this guy and write a procedure for how to stack. Because if he can't write step 1, take the shirt off the dryer, step 2, hold it by the thing, snap it, lay it down, flatten it, bundle it by 12s, there's 6 steps for at the end of the dryer, then you've got problems, right? So I would test for that right away. And if you can't, then you need to like have him start learning it. But like, do not go long time with, if that's a big red flag, that is going to haunt you for a long time. Because anytime you want processes, no one's gonna be able to write them or publish them or print them out, right? So I'm hearing like, I'm hearing there's the HR team leadership, right? But then there's also like an outcome that you want is to be a proficient process builder.
Yeah.
Right.
That's one of biggest things that we've lacked since I started working here is processes, and it makes it more difficult when we're trying to hire new people and that kind of thing. So yeah, definitely something we'd like him to start implementing and writing.
Well, what group does when do you think the people management to take in? Is that 90 days? Is that further out?
I think because of our unique situation this week that we're going to be gone is, if we come back from that week, I mean, it's going to be a really good test. I think we're really going to know what we have and what we don't have when we come back. Because we're either going to come back and people will say, oh, you know what? We had some bumps in the road, but things went all right. Or we're going to come back and people are going to say it was a total shit show. Nobody knew what was going on, and it was a mess. So
yeah, I think the thing about it is, Bruce, I want to point something out here. By 90 days, you should be proficient at it, but you should start doing it tomorrow. Like even if he doesn't know how to schedule, he needs to sit next to you and be like, all right, you do the schedule. All right, you suck today. We'll try again tomorrow. Right? Like, you can't wait.
Yeah, that's something that I've kind of struggled with. Like, I kind of had the same benchmark, 3 to 4 months. We'd like him to be doing this, but at what point do you not see progress? Do you say, well, this is a big issue? Is it a month? Is it 5 weeks, 6 weeks? That's kind of where I'm.
Okay, so I think in order to transfer a skill, any skill, you have to show someone the skill. You have to, right? So you have to show someone a skill. They have to do it next to you. Then they have to do it by themselves. That's it, right? Show them, have them do it next to you. Then they do it by themselves. That can start tomorrow, right? Or whenever. Like, if you wait 3 months to be like, okay, now you do it alone. No, like on week 1, I'm showing you how to do it every day. On week 2, you're doing it next to me every day. On week 3, you're doing it alone. Like that, what always happens. And when I see an employee failing, I'll always ask their leader, did you actually show them and did they do it next to you? Or did you just tell them to go do it and expect them to do it? Right? Everyone always misses the middle part. I don't know. Bruce?
So I added people management, interview, and train. And I'm documenting this so we could put it up so folks can see the 30, 60, 90 day track too and use this. But so people management, I put in first 30 days of handle current process. And in 90 day, I put people management, interview / train someone new, because those are two different, skills and two different tracks. And then I also added build / improve / document processes under 90 days, but it sounds like you're doing it now. So should I move that up to 30?
I think it's a 30-day, because I think if they're unable to do that, then it's, in my mind, I don't see it making it to 90 days if they're not able to.
So Billy, have you had a conversation with this person about what skills he needs to work on or have to be good at this? Like, hey, these are the top 10 skills you're gonna need to be good at, and if you're not good at them, figure it out. Like, we call these like competencies. So like, process centric, analytical, confident, strong communicator, curious, right? Like, have you profiled what you need, like what skills?
I don't know if I haven't done the specific skills. I've more so said to him, these are the tasks we want you to be taking care of. I haven't necessarily said, and these are the skills that I think you need to be able to take care of that. I've really just said, this is, we want you to be able to handle the production schedule, the changes, the delivery schedule, training people. These are the things we want to do. But no, I haven't associated the necessary skills that would go with those things.
Yeah. And I think we all make this mistake, is we are so task oriented and not goal oriented. Right. And if you set clear goals, show an employee what skills you're going to have to hit those goals, then it doesn't matter what tasks you give them. As long as the goals and the skills align, the tasks can be solved. But if one of the skills is being a good writer, and they don't even have that skill, well, how are they ever going to hit the goal? How are they ever going to write process, right? So I think I would challenge you. I'm going to, give you that doc. I need to make a copy of it, but I would challenge you to try, maybe you and your dad fill this thing out. Because if you can give that to him before you leave as a present, like, hey, I actually worked this out. I made it for you. And you can see where he gets flustered, like, ooh, I'm not that. Or then those, things can start to pan out. So dude, this is cool.
So this 30, 60, 90, I've got all this written down, Billy. So yeah, I'll send this copy as well. This is the sort of high level that I use to then create the written, and maybe this is like a good plane exercise or something at night of like,
do it on a plane when you don't have service.
Here's how to
100%.
Yeah, then you're not distracted by anything. But like, this is the stuff of how to do these things. So we talked about vibes well with the team in 30 days. Okay, what does that exactly mean? How do you vibe well with the team? All right, so here's our team. Here's the different people. Here are the people. In every team, there are certain people that are like more vocal and can be gossipy, I'll say, right? And it's like, these are good people to win over at first because they're going to spread the good word down from there. All right, that's team structure. Then you talk about the $50, $100 a week thing. Here's a couple ideas of restaurants and things you can order from. Here's maybe an assistant to do it for you or their numbers. And then for each of these sections, those are the things that we reviewed every single week until they were competent at it. And then we can go back to, if need be, to edit all that stuff. The one thing we're missing here is just general cleaning, maintenance, process routine stuff there. Where do you guys think that is? Is that under 30 days too? Is like, for example, floor cleanup, press maintenance, keeping supplies organized.
Yeah, is he buying supplies?
He's not. He's not the buying supplies. Honestly, our main printer does all the supplies buying right now. But yeah, I mean, that's again another thing. He should be able to take off his plate.
Maybe there's oversight there that he's going to let the printer buy, but he's going to reconcile for the owners.
Yeah, that could be.
Billy, share this list with him as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be like, this is what we're going to work on together, and set the meetings now for, maybe the 30 days right before you leave or when you come back, then 60 day and 90 day, to be like, and like print it out and check it off, maybe put it on, somewhere. This is going to be a goal for both of you guys, honestly, like, being able to accomplish it.
Okay. Is this harder for you or him?
I think it's a combination of, I'd say it's probably harder for him because we are just throwing so much I'm not trying to throw a lot at him, but there's a lot to learn and a lot going on. It's definitely harder for me because I find myself falling into kind of what my dad has done. I have kind of my hands on everything right now, and it's been that way for a little bit. And now I need to start backing off. And that has been a challenge. I said I find myself constantly stopping myself, saying, nope, don't answer that. Go talk to him. He'll figure it out. Let him handle it. So I think harder for him because he's learning so much in new industry, but definitely harder for me because I've gotten so used to having my hands on everything and being in control.
It sounds like an oxymoron, and you guys run a really great business. I mean, with how much you guys do in revenue, like, it's freaking impressive, and how lean you guys are. This is going to sound, like an oxymoron, but the more you give him space to mess up, the quicker and better he is going to learn to lead your company. And if there's one thing like you can take away is like, you have to be okay with letting the dumpster fire, like what Bruce said, like burn a little bit. It's really interesting. Like, Bruce, if you want to talk real quickly of like James at Printavo, the new CEO, he the way he handles things is just so much different than you, Bruce. And you were the owner, but James is now a CEO. Could you comment on that real quick?
I just think he's excellent at letting somebody potentially fail if they're failing, and then going back later to ask, like, what'd you think? Like, do you think you could have done it differently? And just pulling that out. And if they're, there's still nothing, it's like, okay, here's how I would have done it. But letting that person struggle through it. And if they're good, they're going to struggle through it and they'll find their way out, but it won't be A to B. It'll be A1, A2, A3, then B. And being patient there, that is hard. But I mean, you've got it on your 90-day skill here.
What about your dad? Is this hard for him?
He's been a little better, and he's been getting out of the office more. He doesn't have a ton of interaction with them. I've kind of had him. He was doing the delivery schedule, a lot of that. So I've kind of had, I'm saying each day for the first week, I said, take him back there with you and just let him know what you're thinking, why you're doing different things. But yeah, it's been mostly me handling it. And he said the other day, I think we were talking to my family, he said, yeah, Billy has a new assistant, is what he referred to him as. And I said, not exactly, but...
But you have to say, no, Dad, like, he's going to let us get our lives, like, he's going to let us have our lives back. What you're dealing with, so many shops across the country are dealing with, is like that control and being able to let go and being able to trust someone and putting them in a position to win. It falls on the owner of the business. I like, and I think the thing, like, they're going to figure it out. And if they can't reach you, they're going to problem solve too for themselves, right? They're going to problem solve. I like, we've had really great luck with our new production manager, Chad. And, sometimes he'll tell me about a dumpster fire he went through of like running to FedEx and then the wrong box. We went to this FedEx and then made them pull over the truck. And I was like, wow, I didn't even tell you to do that. You just did that. That's what leadership is, when they hold themselves to a higher standard than you do, right?
Steven, last couple minutes, because I know you got a call. What are a couple things that you felt like you screwed up the first time around?
Which time?
Oh, the first times around.
Okay. First time I tried to promote a printer to a manager, did not work. You said it best, Billy, like, best printers, not the best managers, two completely different skill sets. And it was a problem there. Second time, found a person I really liked. They didn't have the skill set. That's why I talk about those skills, like written skills, being able to, or analytical skills. I didn't test for those skills. I hired them because I liked them as a person and they had a pretty good reputation. And so I always found myself making up for their skills, and it just drove me nuts that I had to write processes because they couldn't. I think that, and then I think probably the other one was having a really good person, but not letting go and still being there, and us being the co-managers of the department never allowed them to have the actual like leadership stature to like be a leader and take people to lunch. And so right now, Chad is our general manager of production. He's freaking awesome. I do not go into the shop at all. And that has been a change in the last 3 to 4 months. And he'll like, I'll say like, I'm sorry, I'm not in as much. He's like, no, it just means you trust me. Like, I'll call you if anything. And that was really hard for me to do. Logistics, supply chain logistics, and buying for a huge grocery. So like how Panda Express gets all of their food across the country, and like food going bad, whatever that might be. Yeah, like he, just a people person too. So, dude, this is cool. We're gonna have to re-listen to this in like 90 days and see how close we got. Now that it's on the record though, Billy, you're more accountable to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely be watching it back and, could probably watch it back, take my own. I've taken some notes here, but probably missed some things. So I'll definitely be watching it back and see what I missed.
It's like bar rescue. This is
I'm going to send you this. I'm going to put it in the description as well, but print it out. Like this, this is what held me accountable before. Because you have to do the things to set them up for the success or else it just falls apart.
And Billy, think about this. Like you were a college track athlete at Penn State, right? Track and field. Like how often did you write down like, okay, for me to run a, sub 4, whatever, like I got to hit this, and this, like you are a routine, you get this because that's how you were a successful athlete. I don't know of any other college athletes that can make it any other way. Like I think you think about it the same way, and use the disciplines that you have from being a competitor or a top class athlete. Like there's a bunch of good transferable stuff. So
absolutely. And he knew, I told him, I was like, I'm talking to some people who are in the industry who have had similar experience with hiring somebody. So
maybe we'll bring him on.
I'll have some stuff to report back in terms of things I've been doing wrong or things I've missed, different things like that. So
it's not wrong. You're just figuring. Yeah. No one goes to school for this, right?
That's true.
No one goes to school for this. So
except Matt Marcotte.
Except for Matt Marcotte. Don't forget. All right. I got to bounce.
Great.
Thanks, Billy.
Thanks, guys.
I'll send you a text so we can schedule something.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Guys.
Thanks so much for listening. Hopefully that was informative. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to hit the bell for notifications if you enjoyed this video. If you enjoy all the stuff we're putting out, it's really helpful. We love to just be able to see it. That means that we're doing a good job. To subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and hit the like button. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.